Do you think it will be sold on Amazon, these Iron Man suits?
Dubai and Miami. So obviously they like harsh environments.
Nice, zing! Hello, and welcome to the Cybernews podcast. This week, we'll be discussing our in-house security team's latest research on the infamous Rabbit R1. We'll also touch on Musk's Iron Man defense after the attempted assassination on former President Donald Trump. And we'll reflect on the monumental moments in Amazon's history as the company turns 30. Finally, we'll talk about the two tech moguls that have built their empire, all for the pursuit of colonizing our solar system. To help me tackle these topics, I am joined by Jurgita.
Hi.
And Justinas.
Hi.
Okay, so what do we have here, Jurgita?
Oh, yeah, so this is the, as you said, infamous Rabbit R1 device. Here in Europe, we got it a bit later than our colleagues in the US. But, we have the whole investigation team, and we did a thorough check of the device here, and Niamh will be presenting our in-house research results. Meanwhile, this is what it says on the box, that it was designed in Sweden. Yeah, it did cost $200, so not that expensive. You can now get it actually in the second-hand market for $100.
Yep.
So I hear, and it's a quite lightweight device. As you can see, it's nice, shiny orange.
It looks pretty
color.
cool. I like the look of it, but as we know, it's not the best.
Yeah, it's not the best. It is an AI assistant. Despite all the experts' efforts trying to deem it as just a useless device because it could be just an Android app. So. That's what some experts say. People still keep buying the device, and therefore our research team looked into the device's flaws and vulnerabilities to see whether it's safe to use, and more importantly, if you want to save a few bucks, is it worth it? If you buy it from, let's say, eBay, for $100, and is it worth it to buy like a used device? So yeah, Niamh, why don't you tell us more details about the research, what our in-house team did here and what they found out?
Yeah, sure. So this friendly little AI companion isn't all it's cracked up to be, as our Cybernews researchers have gained root access to the AI personal assistant by exploiting a vulnerability from 5 years ago. So the Kamakiri exploit, which is used to specifically exploit Android devices. As we know now, some researchers have said that the Rabbit R1 is just an Android device. Our researchers discovered this vulnerability from 2019 and tested to see what it could achieve, and the results are interesting. With physical access to the device by actually having it on hand, they found that an attacker can obtain the highest privileges, edit storage, and modify the device's firmware. So if a bad actor gains the highest privileges, this person could do various things, like access your data and edit the system and all of these kinds of things.
So essentially, if let's say I get a used device, right? Let's say I buy it, and if I'm a bad actor, I modify it. I can put some malicious software on it, and then if I give it to someone else or sell it to someone else, that person wouldn't even know what malicious software is running on that, and could essentially access all the data.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
That right?
And so with these privileges, they can delete and manipulate users on the device, steal data, run administrative commands that can modify system settings, access protected files, which is never good, and affect users' access. So yeah, all of those things can be done. It's pretty extensive what it can do. You can add malicious code to the device's firmware, which you could create malicious versions of the device. and access its data. So yeah, lots of negative things to come out of this vulnerability. I see, but Rabbit have released some kind of an update that allows you to completely wipe the device's history, I guess, or kind of the factory reset option rather, is now available via the settings menu. Users can use the option to wipe all the data from the device before reselling it or transferring ownership.
So those users who are selling the device after they use it for quite a bit, they are safe, but it doesn't seem the case for those who are buying it, second-handed.
No,
so
exactly.
let's say, okay, the price for the new one is $200, for the used one approximately 100. So not even that cheaper, so probably not worth it, right?
Yeah, exactly, not worth it at all. And people have been asking why this 5-year vulnerability has gone unnoticed for so long. So Rabbit uses chips from a company called MediaTek. Funny. Is a Taiwanese semiconductor company that manufactures chips and other semiconductor products. So our research team have speculated, and alongside others who have looked into this incident, said that MediaTek may have provided outdated firmware to the Rabbit team. Alternatively, the specific version of the old exploit wasn't patched properly, even though this exploit, the Kamakiri, is used like very widespread for Android hacking communities. So yeah, that's the exploit for you.
Yeah, but actually, yes, while, it seems to concern only Rabbit users, this is pretty much the case for all devices, because we tend to believe that, right? Oh, so I deleted all the data, did a factory reset, and I'm
gone,
good.
Everything's good. Yeah.
And it's actually not. I know that some companies sending their devices, like let's say used computers, to some dumps, could be in Africa or elsewhere, but they are trying to physically destroy the hardware, because with software you can get access to different kinds of data. Of course, it depends from the device, from the software vendor, a lot of things here, but essentially if you keep very sensitive data, on your devices, you should be very cautious about what you do with it next.
Yeah, and I saw that Rabbit also has various other flaws as well, like keeping certain logged files on the device and then maybe being able to access by other people. I know, Justinas, maybe you know a bit more about this.
I've only seen the press release released by Rabbit last week, in which they acknowledged that, I just thought that it was worth mentioning and adding to this story. They acknowledged they were not acknowledged the problem, that some of the data was logged directly into the R1 device. And they said they were not aware of it, that they became aware of it just last week. The problem is that users were not aware of that, and as Neve mentioned, they had no way of deleting the data before transferring ownership, or if the device was lost or stolen. So Rabbit said that they fixed the problem, as you mentioned, Neve, via the automated update. So if you're for any reason still using it, you don't have to worry about it. But if I'm completely honest, I still don't know why this thing is or was a thing. Did we make it a thing?
Yeah, well, it's like it's kind of counterpart the humane pin going down. Like, why do we need these AI companions to do all these things for us?
We should also cut the company some slack. Someone thought that this is a cool device, and everyone started talking about it and trying to hack into it. And we know that if you put enough effort, you can hack into anything, right? Yeah. And usually only big and established companies like Apple, Google, Amazon, and other, like Microsoft, right? Only they do have bug bounty programs, because they are prepared, for white hat hackers coming their way and trying to hack into their devices or software in order to make it safer. Now, and while our research is unique and interesting, this is not the only one, right? There are so many white hat hackers looking into that. So we can't. I think we should cut the company some slack here, and also given the AI hype, I think users are also kind of, well, we are partly to blame for this as users, because we get lured into some trap by marketing of some AI features, like AI apps, different, like where you can see how you age, or or you can get this personal AI assistant. You have to understand that it feeds on your data, and then you can't feel like really shocked. Oh, yeah.
Also, I agree that the design is really cool, and people, they missed the times when new tech was exciting. All we get nowadays is just a slightly updated version of the previous phone, and this one looks like an oversized Tamagotchi. I love it.
Yeah, no, it is great.
It's really nice. Touch it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we have to cut the company some slack, because I guess they are like essentially a startup. No, like there's no massive people behind them to
well, it's no Apple, so
exactly, so they're only trying, they're doing their best,
and people will keep trying new shiny tech, and we just have to educate them that of course you don't want to stay behind, so you want to try all the new apps, software and devices, but it comes with a price tag, and maybe many people would be okay with that.
I think most people don't, well, maybe not most people, but a lot of people don't tend to, especially maybe younger people, don't tend to care about where their data is going, or I think that's something that people care about when when they're educated on the matter, but also as you get a bit older, I guess.
Should we say goodbye now to this one?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I'm just gonna pack it right back where it belongs, while Niv introduces the next stop.
Okay, so Musk has...
Yeah, speaking of, gadgets that we may or may not need, Tesla and SpaceX founder Elon Musk has suggested he may build an Iron Man-style armored suit after claiming that he was the target of 2 attempts against his own life in the past 8 months. So have you heard this story? What do you think about it?
I haven't heard about the attempted assassination on Elon Musk. I hadn't heard that at all.
Yeah, that was news to me as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of obvious, because, he's a high-profile person. And
also there's just so much information about him, from his 6 companies, so
exactly.
But Justinas, go on, can you tell us more about the story?
So it all started this past weekend, and I'm not sure if the media just made a big deal out of it, because it seemed like an offhanded remark, but Elon Musk is such a high profile figure, obviously everyone picks up on that. And, he was just responding to a tweet from some of his fans that expressed concern over his own safety after the assassination attempt against Trump, which he endorsed as a presidential candidate on that day. And someone said, you should be careful. And Musk responded on X or Twitter, which he owns, maybe it's time to build that flying metal suit of armor, which, obviously everyone interpreted as Elon Musk wanting to build an Iron Man suit. So he further elaborated to some other tweets that, these are dangerous times. And he disclosed that 2 people on separate occasions have already tried to kill him in the past 8 months. He said they were arrested with guns about 20 minutes drive from Tesla HQ in Texas. Musk did not provide any more details, but that definitely got, the social media riled up. And everyone got excited about Elon Musk in an Iron Man suit because Musk is sometimes compared to a real life Tony Stark by his fans. And one of the Iron Man writers, Mark Fergus, once described him as one of the inspirations behind Marvel's billionaire superhero. Musk even made a cameo appearance in Iron Man 2, which was released in 2010, and met with an engineer who built his own prototype of the suit in 2021. That suit, well, it didn't look anything like an Iron suit we imagine. It looked more like a retro-futuristic medieval armor. Still cool though, but it kind of makes sense that Musk is interested in a tech like that, because obviously that is something that could be quite useful, as he goes on and tries to, implement his plans and build, a colony on Mars.
Yeah.
And I'm not an expert on Marvel canon, but at least some versions of Iron Man suits can reach high altitudes and fly into space. So essentially, it's a very, very advanced space suit. So his interest kind of makes sense, but is he also playing into, is it not a little bit gimmicky? What do you think?
For sure. Like, I think he knows what he's doing, and I kind of admire him for it. Like, I don't know, he's creating this big hype around this kind of thing, I think, purely to just like geek out a little bit and to be like, this is what I like, this is what I'm interested in, and I can basically do whatever I want. That's kind of how I see it. But
well, he dreams big, so he, I think he has to make bigger moves than just, sending a press release or, responding to some comment, because that's how he historically has attracted investor money, right? Like, let's say, sending that Tesla car into the outer space a few years before. It was seen as a purely marketing campaign. Yes, they're expensive one. By no way we're gonna drive convertible Teslas, in space anytime soon. But he kind of shows us the vision of how life in the outer space could be, and helps us imagine what it would be and maybe get hyped. We don't have any money, so we are not gonna invest in his companies anyway, but quite usually he's selling the dream, not the actual thing and device. He is selling the
idea,
the future, and he's slowly getting there. Not maybe to Mars, that's long time
long time coming.
Yeah, but he's making small steps, and his Starlink satellites, they dominate the skies now compared to other vendors of satellites.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
He's impressive.
Yeah, I kind of like him. I know he's like a controversial figure or whatever, but I enjoy Elon Musk.
That's the whole point.
Quite a lot.
The more controversial you are.
He's definitely good of, picking up on someone else's ideas and trying and at least making them happen, because obviously he did not invent an Iron Man suit. He's not even building a prototype, that man he met a few years back is. And also I know that NASA has for sure taken inspiration from the Iron Man suit in the past and has been exploring, robotic exoskeletons that could give astronauts improved mobility and strength. So, he's just picking up an exciting idea, and maybe trying to make it work. Everyone else is also doing that, but you have to give him, his public relations skills, I guess.
Yeah, because to me, it seems like a little bit of a ploy for attention, obviously. Like, I don't know.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, for investors' attention. I don't think he cares what we say right here.
I think we are reading way too much into it. It was just, as I said, an offhanded remark, a reply to some post, on X. So he didn't say, "I'm going to build it."
No,
so maybe he'll wait until someone else builds it, and he will buy the company, as he's done in the past.
But this is not why we are talking about Musk, right? This is just, I guess, a good way to start in the discussion. But if Trump wins, and his chances might be higher after the assassination attempt, right? And he kind of offered off the books position in the Oval Office to Musk. And, you know, there are some very nasty things about Musk's X platform, right? Many experts, human rights watchers accusing him of kind of promoting the anti-Semitic culture, transphobic culture, you know, and now he is like expressing his voice a lot into the recent events, what happened in Pennsylvania, right? He's talking about it a lot, and it's kind of important, because he is not only a character, he's no Tony Stark, he is a political character by now, and you know, he can change.
Change history.
I agree. All this talk is, you know, a distraction from the very real problems that Jurgita mentioned. You know, the spread of disinformation on X. You know, is governmental contracts and, you know, that sort of thing.
His behavior in his companies.
Sure. Exactly.
Yeah. That's you know. Everyone wants to talk about the Iron Man suit. No one wants to talk about real problems out there.
Exactly. But yeah, so I'm not surprised that he's concerned about his well-being, because I would be too if I was in that position. But
also has the funds to protect himself.
What would you use, you know, an Iron Man suit for? Would you, if you were scared for your life, would you actually go out on the street in an, you know, in an armor all the time?
Well, no, you're a target then, aren't you? You're a walking target.
How helpful would that be?
I don't think so. You're a walking target. You're just out there. Oh, look at me! I've got my Iron Man suit on. Look at me go. Yeah, it's just, you're a walking target. People are going to try and test you, like, you know. I'd use it for world domination.
Like they test cyber trucks, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Oh, let's bring some pots, some hammer, something else, some eggs, raccoons unleashed, right?
Yeah.
Neve does a lot of Cybertruck stories.
I love
They're hilarious. But Musk actually teased that, you know, Cybertruck can be a prototype of, you know, vehicles that we might use after we colonize Mars or some.
And obviously,
some other
you are going to need some sort, you know, of a protective suit while you're in this horrible environment that is Mars. And, you know, it's not going to be a regular astronaut suit. It's got to be something, you know, that's basically an exoskeleton that helps you move, that helps you ground it on the, you know, on the ground. And they'll have to work on it for sure.
Do you think it will be sold on Amazon? These Iron Man suits?
Yeah, maybe at some point, but you know, Amazon is something that you kind of go there to get what everyone is getting.
It's true.
You know, they are aiming to sell stuff to everyone, and with Iron Man suits, given they are supposed to survive extreme environments, they are not gonna be comfortable. They are not gonna be that easy to put as we've seen in the Iron Man movies.
Yeah,
right? That's gonna be way more difficult and probably cost millions. Maybe more if they would actually be able to, you know, fly.
But if the goal is for everybody to, well, maybe the goal isn't for everybody to move on to Mars. Maybe that's naive. Maybe it's only the elite that are, you know, planning to colonize our solar system. But
I mean, I've read this survey that shows, you know, the millionaires of the world moving to places like Dubai and Miami. So obviously they like harsh environments. So you're right, Neve.
Nice zing. Okay, so speaking of Amazon, briefly, we have to celebrate some big news. It's Amazon's 30th birthday.
Apparently we missed it. It was at the beginning of July. You know, Amazon Prime Day reminded us of that because, you know, as you might have seen, the websites are crammed with all the deals for all the stuff that you don't need.
Excellent. I love it. It's my favorite place
Yeah,
to go.
so before we get into Bezos, another space enthusiast, I have a few interesting facts about the Amazon. It was started in 1994. Essentially, it was supposed to be just a bookstore, but quite soon enough, Bezos figured out, he wants more. He wants to sell more, reach more people. Do you know how it was called at the beginning?
I do, and I think I was like, am I really dyslexic because I can't read? Cadabra, like
Cadabra.
abracadabra.
Yes.
Nice.
But I heard, and there are different versions of the story, but essentially saying that his lawyer misheard him and, wrote down cadaver.
Not the best thing for your online bookshop to be called.
So it was Cadabra, but just for a couple of months, his lawyer said that the name was too obscure, and also at the time the phone books were there, and he was going through the letter A, through the dictionary probably, looking for some words, and he discovered Amazon, which is like the largest river in the world, right? And and he loved it. It was also, out of the blue for some of the people working in his garage at the time. But that's what he said. This is not only the largest river in the world. It's many times larger than the next biggest river. It blows all other rivers away.
Whoa.
It was 30 years ago, and look at what Amazon is, right? I was just trying to kind of get a detailed list of what it has and which industries it operates in, and it seems like it's everywhere, right? Yeah, I still use Amazon mostly to buy my books, but you can get cloud storage, Alexa, movies, right? And you can also buy pretty much everything except for the Iron Man suit. Over one, and
I'm sure you could find one.
Some Chinese made version.
Oh, Halloween costume maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe on AliExpress or Temu.
Yeah, probably more likely.
AliExpress. Maybe they have more than Amazon does. Maybe more fakes. Who's there to say? Anyway. 1.5 million people work at Amazon. So, whenever we hear about layoffs of like 20,000 people, it's nothing, in terms of how big it is. Of course, it is ruining lives. If they fire those people, also we have to have in mind that this is the whole supply chain we're talking about, right? So yes, it directly employs that many people, but it's also many small businesses. They essentially rely on Amazon to help them sell their product, because that's one of those marketplaces where everyone knows about it, right? So Amazon. I will not go through the whole history of Amazon. It's a big one. It's a huge one. Just a couple of recent news that we heard. So first of all, it decided to wind down fresh grocery stores. The Amazon. As you know, some of the shops, they operated in the way that you would go in, you take your item, and then you could just walk away with it, and it would just charge your card. Apparently, it didn't work out. We also have not Amazon, but shops of local retailer here in Lithuania, in Vilnius, where you can just scan your card. I think in Amazon, you didn't even have to scan your card.
No, I think it's linked up to your Amazon account, so you already have your payment information on there.
I have one just around the corner from where I live in London. So
An Amazon one?
You can still. I thought that they were like pulling back on the whole, AI checkout thing about that, disaster of the public relations that had to do with 1,000 people employed in India. Anyway, everyone heard about it. But what Amazon actually said is that they're, pulling back on larger stores, and they still use it in smaller stores. And they said that they're actually expanding it because it's more, viable. I guess, when a store is smaller, you don't have as many you don't need as many eyes to to monitor the purchases.
Have you ever
So you
used
can still
it?
use it. Yeah, yeah.
Fun.
It's really convenient. It's really fun. It's not my main grocery shopping stop, but it's it's very convenient.
I actually, I've been using those, not Amazon ones, as I mentioned, but local grocery stores that also has this capability. You just scan your card, they let you enter, there's no personnel whatsoever. You take a few items, then you confirm that you took those items, and then you can leave. But, the one I visited recently, like last week, it is in the very crowded area all the time, and it was a hot day, so people would come in, for water and ice cream and something else, and it was actually a disaster because there was just one person overseeing the whole shop, and the cash point machines, they showed all the wrong information for everyone. So essentially that worker, he had to kind of restart all the machines and start over and scan those items for those people. So I guess Amazon is probably also figuring out to what extent it works. Also it depends highly on the locations and technology, and if anyone can make it happen, it is Amazon, because it's mega big. So.
Yeah, big old corporation.
Not old. It's just 30 years old.
That's true. Just 30 years young.
I mean, these days, 30 years is a lot of time. And I guess when it comes to tech companies, it is a legacy company, I would say, with its its problems.
Yeah, you're right.
That come with that.
Because tech industry, the way the internet, is quite young, I guess. So that's just a different timeline here. I was just that's a bit off topic, but I was discussing with my friend yesterday that here in Lithuania we have very young companies. So essentially, since we are a young, independent country, most of the companies are less than 30 years old, right?
Yeah.
And 30, that would mean much. And then you hear something about family businesses from China, and it would be like a company, 600 years old or so.
Wow.
I think Japan has the most businesses that run for hundreds and hundreds of years. And then I think it's Italy. I think Italy even has the bank that was founded in 13th century. I think it's Monte Paschi that's still in operation. So 800 years ongoing. So when you compare it, to that kind of business, of course, Amazon is, it's a young company, but the stuff that it achieved, it's impressive for the timeline that it had, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. So they went when he started the company, they would get like $20,000 revenue per week, which was already pretty good, for selling books. And now it's what we count that in trillions. I think it's $500 billion revenue mark per year. They're soon gonna hit that mark. So that's really amazing. That's what lets him fund his
dreams,
his space adventures.
Yes,
he's already been to space in 2006.
He went to space in 2000.
Bezos, yes, he was.
So out of three billionaires that have these dreams of going to space and colonizing it or for whatever reason, so is it just Jeff Bezos and I think Richard Branson that reached the I'm not sure at which point it is considered space. So Elon Musk has some catching up to do, I guess.
Yeah.
So essentially, and Blue Origin, the Bezos company, he sent 6 tourists to space at the end of May. It was the first kind of flight to space since 2022, the 7th operation in general, and he's already sent more than 24 of people to the space, including himself. What he said is that so they don't go really far. They just leave the atmosphere, and then they went, I think, for like 67 miles or so into the space and then back. But
so it's a quick trip. Or is it?
I think there are competing claims which point is considered, entering the space. I can't remember, but I think different agencies have like different marks. Most of the national news agencies, they agree on some metric, I guess. So I think Jeff Bezos actually crossed the conventional space line.
Well, at least he's what, a rocket man, not the Musk.
Not an Iron Man, but a rocket man. No, but this idea of like interplanetary colonization is wild to me. Like, I kind of understand, especially from like a US perspective of kind of conquering, manifest destiny and all this kind of stuff. But do you guys think it's going to happen? Do you think it's possible to colonize? Will we get there?
But why don't you get it? I want to, because it's not, this is not some random thought. And, where Bezos is drawing his inspiration from is a Princeton professor who essentially said that if you want to save the Earth, you need to leave it.
And I mean, that made me think.
That's true.
It made me think of, when we kind of all had to stay inside during the pandemic and things were getting better for nature and for animals and that kind of thing. So it kind of, it is true. We are essentially the problem, but yeah.
And
I think it will happen, space colonization for sure, whichever way humanity goes. Like, I know that Musk thinks that we should be an interplanetary species, meaning we should colonize other worlds, whereas Bezos is more into the idea that people should build, millions of big, huge space stations, space cylinders, and trillions of people would live off those. But I don't think that, that's definitely, colonizing Mars sounds like a more attainable thing in a shorter term, but it will not necessarily happen as soon as a lot of people hope, unless, of course, there are some marvelous technological breakthroughs, like perhaps in quantum computing, that could help us solve some of the challenges that deep space exploration, exploitation, and colonization face, including, can we have babies in space? Can we have sex in space? Can we walk in space? I mean, all these different scenarios that we have no data. So also, when you hear things about some of the innovations these big corporations have supposedly implemented, and then you hear things like Amazon's AI checkout system, that is monitored by a bunch of people. Then the image of trillions of people living in these space colonies looks kind of distant, and I'm sure it will happen. I'm just not so sure about the timeline. Everyone wants it to be as quick as possible, but I do believe that we are going to see some sort of a settlement on Mars in our lifetimes, because the billionaire urge to satisfy their egos will definitely trump common sense, and maybe that's a good thing. Some of the greatest discoveries has been made because of that, and someone has to be first.
I also believe that is possible, although probably not to the extent where we can colonize another planet and live there without depending on Earth, because even the most, secluded and autocratic countries like Cuba, North Korea, they are still dependent, on different resources that they either take or steal, like North Korea, crypto, from other countries, because science still has to, look into what materials, let's say on Mars, we can use for building houses, how can we grow crops and whatnot, of course in a hospitable environment, but that can be maybe partly solved by all these Iron Man costumes, and some settlements, but we will see, I hope, some settlement, probably not even settlement, but someone being able to visit Mars and stay there for a week or two, because now it's even impossible for a person to be there. The declining bone mass, loss of eyesight, deteriorating hearing, and all that. There's so much stuff we need to figure out. Also, there's this book that I keep recommending to people who want to read and maybe have their hopes crushed about the Mars settlement. Yes, this one. I also have it here on Kindle. Yes.
It is great, actually.
Hello.
Yeah. You recommended me, and it made me, it turned me from a space optimist to a space realist. You have to, you still can dream about space. You can dream about space colonization, about space travel, but you have to be realistic for it to be viable and for it to actually work. You have to work on research. You have to get hard data that proves that something is safe to do. And this is all in this book, City on Mars by Kelly and Zach Wienersmith. I think it's great. It's a great, sobering read.
Great book, great illustrations. The interesting section there relating to Musk is about, okay, so we settle on Mars. Let's imagine Musk gets there before Bezos, right? Maybe with his own children, who knows? He allegedly said he would like to donate sperm for the first Mars habitat, according to New York Times. He denied it, of course. But anyway, this book imagines a settlement on Mars, which would be called Moscow, like Moscow, but just Moscow.
Oh, okay, right.
I think that actually represents the the system that we would have on a city on Mars, ruled by billionaires like Elon Musk, I guess.
But so imagine there would be like a job for you to do. So Musk would be your employer. He would also own your house and utilities and the daycare that you bring your kids to. And then you can't actually leave the settlement because traveling from Mars to Earth, you would also probably be dependent on some Musk's vehicles. So no, that's
it's terrifying. I like space. I enjoy the topic, but I'm absolutely terrified of it. And I feel like to go up into space to even attempt to colonize somewhere like that, I feel like that's just...
We are not physically adapted to that.
No,
I mean,
we're not
you would
made
need
for
to go through training. Some people are better at it, some are not. Not everyone can become an astronaut.
Also, I think you made a very good point here, Jurgita. Safety, if there's 1 million people living in a Martian city, I assume that, things like safety are already taken care of. And my biggest concern is that that it's so far away and probably is governed by a different set of laws than we are here on Earth in different laws, different countries. But that's the point. I'm trying to say that I would definitely not want to live in a place governed by the whims of billionaires, by the whims of oligarchs. That if they're controlling the technology, they are the law on that planet. And we have plenty of places here on Earth run by oligarchs and autocrats, and you can already move to those. You don't have to travel, several years, thousands of miles to another planet. But if it is a rules-based democratic society, perhaps governed by some sort of international agreement, then that's a different story. But if it depends on one man, I would be very afraid.
Yeah, but democratic settlement on Mars is even more far away, because the actual thing, what is happening and what we read. So Musk is with the launches of satellites. He's essentially polluting the skies now, and we hear people, in where California, Florida was it, where they get space junk straight through their roofs, and also Bezos recently proposed a cap on SpaceX launches due to environmental concerns, right? So this is the reality we live in. The idea might be nice or might be not nice. If you read that book,
I will.
Every problem will eventually have a solution. We are concerned about space junk, but now there's this Japanese startup called, let me just Google it real quick, Astroscale. That's one of the it received so much investment. It's growing so fast because it is developing the technology to clear away all the space junk. So I guess we as species, we are always finding solutions to different problems, and I think we shouldn't focus on that too much, because if there's a problem, we'll probably solve it at some point. It just will take time. And that's, the point with the whole space colonization. It will take time, I guess.
Definitely a very interesting topic to follow here.
Yeah, definitely.
Both in real life and, and some academic research. It's fascinating because it's something new, something completely different from what we already used to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you guys for listening along, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this podcast and for more Cybernews content. Thank you, Jurgita and Justinas.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week.
Thank you, Niv.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.